Okay, imagine this. You're winding down, maybe scrolling through Instagram or something, and then bang, you stop. Why? Because it's Gisele Bundchen right there on your screen. She looks absolutely radiant, flawless, got that signature smile, and she's leaning in, almost like she's telling you personally about this miracle beauty secret she just found. It sounds amazing, personalized, instant results. And because it's Gisele, you trust it, you pay attention. But here's the twist, the really unsettling part. That wasn't actually her. It was like a digital ghost, a super high-tech illusion made with sophisticated AI. So today we're diving deep into this absolutely massive, pretty elaborate fraud ring based mostly out of Brazil. They essentially weaponized celebrity deepfakes, cloning Gisele, other famous faces too, to trick thousands. And they stole millions, basically using one of the oldest scam tricks in the book wrapped in new tech.
Yeah, we're really digging into the source material on this scheme today. And it's just a perfect, if worrying, case study on how trust itself is being weaponized. So our mission here is to really dissect the mechanics. How did they make that illusion so, well, flawless? How do they scale up this fraud network? We're talking, what, over 20 million rears processed?
Which is about $4 million US, roughly. Just staggering.
Exactly. And maybe most importantly, what does this whole scandal really tell us about, authenticity? How that concept is just eroding so fast in our digital world? Because think about it. If you can't even trust Gisele Bundchen talking directly to you in a video, well, what can you trust online?
Okay, yeah. Let's start with that illusion then, the visual bait. That seems core to it. When we talk about these deepfakes, what exactly was it about the tech they used? What made these specific videos of Gisele good enough, flawless enough to fool people just scrolling by?
Right. The key thing here seems to have been optimization, specifically for speed and glanceability. They weren't aiming for some Hollywood-level special effect that holds up under scrutiny, no.
Yeah.
They needed something that could survive maybe the first 5 seconds of you scrolling past it. That's it.
The scroll test.
Scroll test, exactly. We're talking about AI, probably generative adversarial networks, or gens, stitching together these realistic video clips. And these networks, they're getting incredibly good at understanding and replicating really subtle human things. So not just Gisele's face structure, but her specific way of smiling, those little mannerisms, even the sound, the timbre of her voice.
Wow.
In a fast-moving feed, like on Instagram or Facebook, your brain only gives it a quick glance, right? The split second. And these fakes were just polished enough, just convincing enough to slide right past that initial momentary skepticism most of us have.
It's actually kind of terrifying how they paired that high-tech realism with something so basic, so low tech. They were selling products that didn't even exist, like beauty creams, right? Ghost products. And the hook wasn't even a big purchase. It was framed as this irresistible low-cost offer.
Precisely. That's the other genius, or maybe cynical part of it. They knew they couldn't ask you to drop, say, $500. That sets off way too many alarm bells for most people.
All right, too much friction.
Yeah. So instead, they offer this amazing miracle product endorsed by Gisele herself, and then comes the clincher. You just need to only pay shipping. We're talking tiny amounts, maybe $5, $10 max. It sounds completely harmless, insignificant.
So the real trick then, it wasn't just the AI deepfake, was it? It was lowering that barrier to entry, the commitment, down to basically zero. See the ad, the deepfake convinces you for a second, you tap, you punch in your card details for that tiny shipping fee, and then you just wait for a package that was never going to arrive. And for the victim, it probably feels like such a minor loss. Maybe you even forget about it.
And that feeling, that sense of it being inconsequential, that is the absolute pivot point for understanding how this fraud got so big.
Yeah.
Because they figured out how to turn these tiny, almost invisible losses into a huge multi-million-dollar business model.
Yeah, that low entry point is exactly what let them scale it up so massively. As you said, 20 million arrays tracked through these networks. This wasn't some small-time thing. It sounds like a really organized, almost industrial-level operation, financially engineered.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the sources we look at, they highlight this specific vulnerability the scammers exploited. Investigators apparently called it weaponized trust. Which makes sense. We're sort of, evolutionarily wired to trust faces we recognize, especially faces we associate with positive things, success, beauty, authenticity, like Gisele Bundchen.
A trusted figure.
Definitely. So when she appears to speak directly to you, that rational, critical thinking part of your brain just kind of relaxes a bit. You assume the endorsement must be legit, vetted somehow.
It's brilliant in a really horrifying way, isn't it? Turning that human tendency, that connection we feel to celebrities, into a business model. But I have to ask, why Gisele specifically? I mean, was there something about her brand, her image, that made her a particularly effective target for this kind of deepfake scam compared to, I don't know, some other celebrity or maybe a lesser-known influencer?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think there is something specific there. Gisele Bündchen, globally, she represents more than just fashion, right? She's strongly associated with wellness, health, even environmental consciousness, sort of natural beauty ideal.
Right. Authenticity is kind of her brand.
Exactly. So when she appears to endorse some miracle secret, it just carries this inherent weight, this feeling of authenticity that, say, a random spokesperson or even some other types of celebrities might not have. She's almost like the ultimate trusted third party in that space. So cloning her isn't just borrowing her face. It's like hijacking decades of carefully built reputation and trust. It's shortcuts right past our usual mental filters.
Okay, so the victim's guard is down, the fee is tiny. How did the scammers actually guarantee they could scale this thing up without getting shut down immediately? What was their operational thinking, their calculation?
Well, it looks like it was basically a three-part mechanism built on some pretty cynical logic. First, they banked on a very low reporting rate. Think about if you only lose $5 or $10. Is it really worth the hassle of calling your bank, maybe canceling your card, filing a police report? For most people, no.
Right.
The criminals calculated, probably correctly, that 99% of victims would just shrug it off, write it off as a small loss, maybe feel a bit foolish and move on.
They literally monetized our apathy, our tendency to avoid small hassle.
Absolutely. That was part one. Second, they were playing a speed game against the platforms themselves, against Instagram, Facebook, wherever the ads ran. They knew that by the time the platform's moderation systems, whether AI or human, finally identified an ad as fraudulent and took it down, those deep fake videos would have already been running for hours, maybe even days, racking up thousands and thousands of those small payments. They basically counted on the platform bureaucracy, the takedown process being slower than their ability to just launch new campaigns, maybe slightly tweaked.
Wow. So they were using the platform's own high-speed advertising system against itself, operating faster than the platform could police its own content.
Precisely. And then the third layer was the money itself, the financial architecture. Once they collected all those small payments, the money didn't just sit there. It was immediately funneled through multiple layers of shell accounts, different payment processors, often moving across borders almost instantly. This complex layering basically made that 20 million rias just disappear into the digital shadow economy, making it incredibly difficult for investigators, especially casual ones, to figure out who actually ended up with the money.
It sounds almost foolproof, almost uncatchable. And yet, the sources we read hinted there was a crack. They mentioned investigators eventually found some technical flaws, things the scammers thought maybe nobody would notice, and apparently there was even a single overlooked clue that finally helped crack the whole case wide open. I really wish we knew what that clue was.
It's the ultimate cliffhanger, isn't it? The source material doesn't spell it out, unfortunately. It only suggests that even these really high-tech, sophisticated criminal outfits, they still leave digital fingerprints. Maybe it was something like a shared IP address used across a bunch of fake websites, or maybe a tiny repeated glitch in how the AI rendered the voice in multiple videos.
Some small human error, basically.
Could be. We don't have the specifics on the clue itself, but the fact that this massive operation spanning continents apparently got tripped up by one single overlooked mistake. That's actually a crucial bit of reassurance, I think. It tells us that even the future of crime, even AI-powered crime, still relies on humans somewhere in the chain. And humans make mistakes.
That's a slightly comforting thought, yeah. But let's shift gears a bit now, because the sources also talk about what they call the darker truth here. This goes way beyond just the stolen money, right? It's about a fundamental attack on authenticity itself, on what we trust.
Yes, and this is where it gets genuinely chilling, I think. Deepfakes like these, as the sources put it, they're effectively stripping away the shortcuts we once relied on to judge information. Think about it for basically all of human history. Seeing and hearing something with your own eyes and ears, that was the gold standard of proof.
Yeah.
Visual and auditory evidence, that was the bedrock of belief.
You believed what you saw.
Simple as that.
Right.
And now that bedrock itself can be manufactured, faked. So if a really well-produced video of someone like Gisele Bundchen turns out to be completely fake, What does that do to our general sense of trust? We kind of lose that easy mental shortcut, that heuristic. Oh, I see a famous trusted person endorsing this, it must be real. That's gone. It forces us, or it should force us, into a state of almost extreme skepticism about everything we consume online, which is exhausting, frankly.
Yeah.
And the problem is, the technology isn't standing still. This deepfake AI, it's only going to get better, faster, cheaper, more realistic.
Yeah.
What happens when the fakes are truly indistinguishable? Not just to a quick glance on a phone screen, but maybe even to expert forensic analysis.
And tomorrow the clone won't just be Gisele selling some non-existent face cream. That's bad enough. But it could be, I don't know, your favorite athlete promoting a totally fraudulent crypto scheme. Or maybe a politician you trust seeming to announce a major policy change, something that instantly crashes or boosts stock markets.
Exactly.
The potential for real systemic disruption, way beyond just individual people losing $5, it feels immense. We're blurring that line between what's real and what's illusion much faster than our social systems or even our tech systems can possibly adapt.
In this Gisele case, it just throws that urgent question into sharp relief. If AI can whip up a convincing, globally targeted fake endorsement, literally overnight, whose job is it to police this? Is it up to regulators? Government bodies passing laws that are probably already years behind the tech by the time they're enacted?
Or is it the platforms? You know, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. The very platforms that actually profit from showing these high-engagement deepfake ads in the first place, it feels like a shared failure waiting to happen or already happening. The platforms have a financial incentive to let things slide, maybe, and the regulators are always playing catch-up with technology.
Right.
We can't seriously expect every single person scrolling through their phone feed to suddenly become a forensic video analyst spotting subtle AI artifacts. That's just not realistic.
No, it isn't. So until those bigger systemic problems get tackled, and that's until the responsibility, unfairly perhaps, falls back mostly on us, on the individual, we need to basically create new habits, new defenses. So let's maybe talk about the practical stuff, the defense mechanisms the sources mentioned, the things you, listening right now, can actually do to protect yourself.
Yes, definitely. We need some concrete takeaways here. What are the specific, immediate red flags? Things that should make us hit pause, even if the person speaking in the ad looks and sounds totally convincing.
Okay, first off, pay close attention to the emotional pitch of the ad, that sense of urgency. If an ad is practically screaming at you to ACTNOW or saying the offer expires in 5 minutes.
Or countdown timer.
Yeah, or if it demands immediate payment just to claim some prize or limited spot. That kind of manufactured scarcity. Huge red flag, always. And of course, if clicking the ad tries to take you away from the main verified social media site like Instagram or Facebook onto some unfamiliar website address, stop right there, close the tab.
Okay, urgency and suspicious redirects. Got it.
What about actual habits? Things we need to start doing differently now that just seeing isn't believing anymore.
Right, habits. I think there are two key behavioral shifts needed. First, fundamentally, never fully trust the link within the ad itself. Doesn't matter who appears to be endorsing it. If you see an ad, say, for a product supposedly sold by Gisele or some brand, don't click the ad link. Instead, open a new tab and search for that official brand name separately. Go directly to their verified social media accounts or their official website. See if they are actually running that promotion. Takes an extra 30 seconds, maybe.
That's a really good habit. Simple but effective. It forces you to completely bypass the potential scammers' controlled digital pathway.
Exactly. The second habit change. Start treating those tiny fees like that only pay shipping line as the biggest red flag of all, as pure bait. That small amount isn't really about shipping. It's the test. The scammers are testing the waters, seeing if you're a willing, low-friction target for maybe bigger scams later, or just collecting card details en masse. So the small fee is the scam, basically.
In many cases, yes.
Uh-huh.
Or it's the gateway. And related to that, never, ever agree to make payments through private or unusual methods. If someone asks you to Venmo them or wire money directly for a product supposedly sold by a big company, no. Legitimate companies use standard, transparent checkout systems.
And I guess the old advice still holds true, too, right? The really basic stuff like double-checking the website URL.
Oh, absolutely. Still crucial. Look closely at the web address in your browser bar. A single typo, maybe swapping an O for a 0 or transposing 2 letters, that tiny difference can be the only thing separating a real company's site from a sophisticated fraud operation designed purely to steal your credit card info.
So simple habitual vigilance remains key, even in the age of AI fakes.
It has to be, for now at least.
Okay, so wrapping this up. When we look back at this Gisele Bundchen deepfake scam, what's the core story? It really feels like this stunning, almost bizarre combination of cutting-edge tech meeting old-school con artistry. They mastered the very frontier of AI, the deepfake cloning, but then they married it with the most classic, low-tech scam mechanism there is. Tiny bait, preying on basic human trust.
Yeah, the combination was just terrifyingly effective, wasn't it? They used the tools of the future to execute the tactics of the past. But I think ultimately the deeper challenge this whole fraud highlights, it isn't just about how we spot the next fake ad or the next celebrity clone. It's that our fundamental reliance on sight and sound as automatic proof as evidence of reality is broken, or at least is becoming unreliable. So the real work, the hard work that starts now for all of us, for society, is figuring out how we're going to rebuild and verify trust in the digital world. How do we decide what's real when seeing is no longer believing? That's the big question this leaves us with.